Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Code Ninja Global. It's a podcast dedicated to bringing you key industry insights from some of the most influential thought leaders in our world today. So, for this particular episode, we're diving into one of the most transformative developments in artificial intelligence, namely agentic AI. Before we get more into it, I would just like to tell you that we are really standing at the cusp of a new technological era. So, agentic AI basically represents a fundamental shift from traditional decision making and traditional systems to truly autonomous self learning agents capable of making decisions, executing them primarily without human intervention. It's an exciting time to be alive for sure. So, before we dive deeper into what agentic AI is and what are its basic capabilities, I would just like to tell you more about CodeNinja. For over a decade now, we have been at the forefront of digital transformation, helping businesses navigate the complex landscape of technological innovation. So, this is something that started with the vision about a decade ago, and right now we are a 200 team strong enterprise and an organization that works across four locations, serving clients in more than 15 plus industries. Code Ninja has been at the forefront of innovation, and that has enabled us to be the disruptors in multiple industry verticals, and along with that, to establish capabilities as not only service providers of great technical solutions or technological solutions, but also to be real purveyors of innovation. So, along with everything that Code Ninja has been able to establish, we have prolific intelligent AI solutions which are spread across different capabilities and what we can really accomplish for enterprises, namely AI-driven software development, then nearshore and offshore development within talent capabilities and technical expertise, global capability centers as a service, and lastly, agentic AI as a service. This entire idea of building innovators or giving a structure to innovators to really build new ideas and realize them in real time is what Code Ninja aims to accomplish for its clients and for future innovators as well. And to really bring in the architect who is behind establishing these intelligent AI solutions, I'd like to welcome Adil Khalil, our co founder and CTO at Code Ninja. Adil has been incredibly instrumental in establishing this entire solution database for us, this knowledge base, and the capabilities that we can now boast to our clients. He has been the primary architect behind our AI powered solutions, and he has transformed how enterprises can operate, helping them really achieve sustainable growth and foster innovation, regardless of whichever scale they operate at now. So I'm really happy to bring in Adil for this particular podcast, and let's hear more from him and excited to jump into what agentic AI is all about. Adil, hello, and we're very excited to have you on the podcast. How are you?
Yeah, pleasure being here. Thank you so much. Wonderful evening.
Very, very happy to have you. And
Yeah.
Adil, we're especially excited to have you on this podcast because we know that you have been the mind behind what Code Ninja has been able to accomplish in terms of intelligent AI and all the solutions that Code Ninja has been able to, establish for its clients. Let's just start with going into how AI has come to be now in the world. And obviously there is a lot of excitement with industry leaders trying to get through the door, really adopting AI for their enterprise models and infrastructures. So where do you see the trend going with AI, and what do you think is on the horizon in that regard?
Yeah. Um, Thanks for the introduction. Before answering your question, I'd like you to share a story with you, and I'd like our audience to take them 4 years back. Uh, we were working with a customer in Canada who were building sort of marketplace for opticians where they can sell their products. But the idea
Right.
was our customer was a wholesale kind of B2B platform where
Hmm.
opticians could purchase optical supplies, and then they basically sell it to their own direct customers, retail customers. The idea was their marketplace was really good because
Yeah.
the opticians could purchase the quantities in bulk, but the
Mm.
e-commerce experience, the retail experience was not that good in a sense that the opticians were not really good at marketing their own product. So,
Right.
how do they gain more customers? How do they bring in more visibility for their products? How can they integrate their e-commerce stores to these social media platforms? And how they enable those B2B customers with
Mm.
their marketing journey and the tracking and the visibility of like how different campaigns, marketing campaigns are performing.
Yeah.
So they reached out to us with this problem statement as to what can we do where they can enable their merchants on the platform to run their marketing
Yeah.
campaign as well. And that was an era where ChatGPT 3.5 was just
Just
released, and
emerging. Yeah.
yeah, they released their APIs as well, and we kind of thought on leaning on ChatGPT 3.5 and like a few other large language models to help in generating these marketing campaigns. Um, like every merchant has their own target audience. Some of them serve in different liquids that are required for eye health. Some of them deals in contact lenses, and so like
Mm.
how can we use these large language models to generate effective marketing campaigns based on the
Mm.
niche that they're targeting. So every merchant has on the platform their previous orders data and sales data. They know about their customers as well. And leveraging all their data with the help of large language models, we could effectively generate campaigns, marketing campaigns, and target those customers, like the existing customers on different social media platforms, target them through personalized emails as well as WhatsApp and SMS as well, to sort of
Mm-hmm.
offer them visibility of the new products that are launched, and as well as like every marketing aspect that you can think of.
Yeah.
In the absence of the agentic AI frameworks back then, we had to we eventually we ended up developing a rule-based platform where we fetch
Okay.
in the information about the products, their customers, and then we basically juggle
Yeah.
those in to generate campaigns. And now, since the advent of a lot of these, agentic AI frameworks and like open source
Yeah.
frameworks, had we had access to these frameworks, the journey would have been a lot more easier, and our
Absolutely.
been a lot more faster. Yeah. So
And let me ask you in terms of that, sorry to cut you off. Let me ask you because I'm very curious. So when you're talking about this particular case where you had this company and you had to establish their marketing, infrastructure in a way, did you face any kind of hesitance from this particular company in adopting an AI structure of some sorts to, kind of establish that infrastructure for them?
yeah. So number one is the friction that I've seen is the data security issue, like how much they can rely on these systems to make sure that their data always belongs to them and it does not
Yeah.
end up being used for training these models further, or like their data leaving their organization and like ending up in
Hmm.
somebody else's hand. That's one
Right.
of the major concerns. Another concern is, especially the use case that I shared with you, how do we
Yeah.
safeguard merchants' sales data from ending up actually creating more value for other customers? So,
Right.
and like cross sharing this data as well. So, it's really important that we safeguard the data,
Yeah.
and kind of providing that assurance to our customers that there are tools available and there are mechanisms available where we make sure that
Yeah.
your data always belongs to you and it does not leave your premise and it is not used for training any large language models or
Yeah.
everything belongs to you. So that has always been a major friction, but I think that that landscape is changing now.
Mhm.
The more awareness, I think there's a lot of awareness now regarding those issues that people have actually started trusting these systems and they can
Yeah.
they're leveraging it for generating more business value.
Absolutely. And kind of building on that, like from the things that we're seeing right now, especially within the AI surge as well. So we
Yeah,
can kind of deduce from the data that there has been a wider acceptance of AI within these structures, and people are really accepting the use that Gen AI can give to them. And we can see that it's almost, benching at 72%, 80% acceptance rate for these things to be inculcated into the system. However,
yeah,
the development at scale lies at a very meager 9%, 8% right now, with only, a very handful of companies having AI across more than five functions or five functions. So where do you
yeah,
see the lag in the translation of AI from idea to execution?
yeah. I think so. The AI is not just LLMs. LLMs is like,
Yeah,
what LLM does beautifully is it it reduces that, the interactivity barrier or the language barrier that we had historically while interacting with AI based systems. So now you can
yeah,
like create any structured input based out of natural language prompt, for example. So the input does not always have to be very structured
yeah,
for any system to further process it. And then you can like use specialized models, for example, time series analysis or regression models to actually um, build a mixture of agents to perform specialized tasks that are
mhm,
beyond the abilities of a large language model. And
absolutely.
I think is these different functions in enterprises understand their clear distinction, I think the adaptation will be much faster and much smoother. Um,
Great.
Also, there is a lot of room for these specialized models for variety of use cases. For example, customer services interaction or
Mm,
run analysis on such certain data. So as soon as we have
yeah.
more specialized models that we can use in the mixture of these agentic landscapes, I think the adoption is going to be much higher.
Great. Right.
Yeah,
And talking about adaption as well, we could kind of just take a loop back and
yeah,
talk about, what it means to be an early adopter in
yeah,
agentic AI or just AI in general. So we've seen that, of course, there is a consequence to not jumping on AI as something that can transform your enterprise. And we've seen that across, the kind of stats that we're seeing across MIT, Harvard Business, all of them are echoing the same idea that
yeah,
delaying AI adoption could possibly put you at a competitive disadvantage at some point. And what do you think it means to be an early adopter for agentic AI? And what's the distinction between someone who is embracing it right now and someone who's a late mover in
yeah.
agentic AI?
Right. So I'll give you an example. So for
Mhm.
example, if you're running a business out of United States,
Yeah,
running a business in a region or in a country requires a lot of support functions as well. So for example, you need to have customer support to answer customer queries,
yeah,
guide your customers about the products, and be available to your customers at any
hmm,
time they need help or need support. And imagine you already have that set up for that region or for that country. Now,
yeah,
imagine you want to launch that product, that very same product or service in another market. For example, you want to launch in
right.
Japan or you want to launch in Europe. So you'll have to
Mm,
replicate some of the functions that already exist for another market, but has to be
yeah,
tailored with the nuanced details for the new market that you're launching in. So, for example, now you need
Absolutely.
to have folks in your customer support who can speak Japanese or understand Japanese, and who understand
Hmm.
their culture and who understands, and as well as the availability as well. You
Yeah.
have, like, the availability requirement in Japan is completely different than in North America, because like these are completely different time zones. So you'll
Yeah.
have to focus on a lot of other areas, along with actually launching your
Mm.
product, managing the supply chain and managing the inventory and everything.
Mm.
So it becomes a lot of, like, these are barriers actually, to
Mm.
launch a sort of product in another market. But AI can, like, expedite this by a factor of, like, 100%, 200%, in a sense that, so for example, talking about the customer support,
Yeah.
for example, your customer support, your human agents can only speak and understand English. You can always have a layer of AI agents in the middle. So, for example, your customer speaks Japanese. The AI model translates the Japanese to English, and your human agent understands and listens to English and respond back in English, and your customer then, gets their feedback or the answer to their questions in Japanese. So,
Yeah.
AI in the middle can, like, bridge that gap and can help you scale your products and services and launch into to new markets without thinking
Yeah.
about scaling your operations as well, per se. So, and one of our customers has exactly done that. Um,
Mm.
and I think being an early adapter has a lot of upside to it,
Yeah.
and has a lot of value into having AI in the mix of your service offering and your operations.
Right. Right. And when you talk about innovation in terms of, like you said, if there is somebody who is going to establish a multi-location business and they can
Yeah,
really make use of agentic AI, if we
yeah.
think about how much potential AI holds in making that a reality for a lot of businesses, right? Where do you see that trend going, and what do organizations need to be cognizant of in terms of the risk that could be there with harnessing AI potential?
Yeah. Um, I think one of the thing is, what enterprises needs is predictability, right?
Yeah.
Apart from everything, like every investment they do into developing a new product or launching a new product, especially like using these systems to enhance their offerings, or for the agility of their business. One thing that
Yeah.
they want to make sure is that anything that they do, the results should be predictable.
Hmm.
So, for example, if you're using AI to bid for you, for example, if you're a realtor, right?
Mm.
Um, or let's say, for example, there is an auction platform, and you want to bid on, certain auctions, but or through AI agents.
Yeah.
In such a scenario, you want to make sure that your AI system or your AI agent actions are predictable.
Yeah.
They work under certain conditions and certain limits, and they always make the right decisions. So predictability is
Mm.
very important, and that's why, like, most of the agentic frameworks that we have out there has the capability of having a human in the loop. So
Hmm. Yes.
AI agent can work completely autonomously, but those you can also have, humans in the loop to intervene or to
Mm.
verify
Absolutely.
the actions that they're going to take, actions that are, like, for example, sensitive. Um,
Hmm.
and the direction that I see is, I think, we'll continue having humans in the loop, but one day, probably the models will evolve to a point where the results will be more predictable, and
Right.
the trust will go higher. Yeah.
Absolutely. And do you think we're there in terms of, maintaining that kind of trust or establishing that kind of synergy between human intelligence and AI?
So. Interestingly, like a couple of months back, I do not exactly recall the name, but probably Stripe, or yeah,
Hmm.
I think that was Stripe. Stripe launched this API where your AI agents could create temporary cards for
Okay.
doing autonomous transactions. So, for example, take the example of an AI agent that places bids on auctions.
Hmm.
For example, there is an auction for anything. For example, for a house, and
Hmm.
your AI agent kind of want to make a bid for $1 million, for example, or for hundred thousand
Yeah.
dollars. Stripe provided this API where your AI agent can create a temporary card. So, like, you're not using
Yeah.
your account, but instead you're using a temporary card to make
Yeah.
sure that your AI agent does not make a transaction beyond $100,000, for example. So you
Hmm.
use the API in the mix where and an agent determines that it needs to make a transaction worth $100,000 or ten thousand
Right.
dollars
Yeah.
The human in the loop, that humans approve it, then we call the Stripe API to create the temporary card with a limit of whatever the
Yeah.
transaction value is. And the AI agent can only then use that much amount. We make sure that it does not have access to an account that holds all the money.
Hmm.
And all these different services or SaaS platforms are kind of working towards providing the ability to their end users where they can
Yeah.
use those systems in conjunction with the different AI agents to fulfill their business needs. So I think if we are not there completely, we should be there soon. That's the easy way, that's the faster way, and that's the smarter way.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, for our viewers who want to be familiarized with Agentic AI more, could you break it down technically as to what really is that an agent does and what can we call autonomous operation?
Yeah. So I think the right question is going to be like, what's the difference between an AI agent and a traditional software? An
Right.
AI agent is really good with working with unstructured input. Um,
Hmm.
so, for example, you can ask, in plain English, what is two plus two? And then you can write the numbers 2 plus 2, and an AI agent should be able to understand the inputs, process it, and like give you the output in any shape and form that you would like. uh,
Yeah.
Apart from that, an AI agent can also be an orchestrator, uh, which delegates tasks between systems, and those systems could
Hmm.
be you know other AI agents as well as traditional systems as well. So, for example,
Yeah.
you can have an AI agent for performing transactions in your ERP, or creating invoices, or placing orders, or
Yeah.
uh, you know treating inventory. Um, so, like, you can use all those systems, and you can mix those systems along with large language models and other specialized models to form a system which works coherently towards an objective. And
Okay.
the
Yeah.
way it works is you can have a single large language model, or a mixture of language models. Each language
Hmm.
model is basically becomes separate agents. So, like, there are a bunch of large language models out there, and every large language model specializes in a certain area. So you can
Yeah.
use those large language models for their strengths, mix them together, and
Hmm.
perform your tasks. And
Right.
they can work as a result of a trigger. They can work
Hmm.
as a result of a schedule, or they can work around the clock as well.
Right. Right. And if we look at how far these two models have come, what is specifically the differentiation between a specific generative AI model against an agentic one? So if we were to look at it, let's say from the perspective of learning and adaptation. So if
Yeah,
a Gen AI model learns from the static data that it,
yeah,
has and cannot adapt in real time, how does an agentic AI model continuously adapt to real-time data?
yeah. So agentic, So models are not agentic. Agentic AI solutions are actually built using Gen AI and other specialized AI models.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
these agentic AI frameworks can have their own memory. They can have
Okay.
access to catalogs of data. So for example, those can be RAG based agents, as well as they can invoke external systems as well. So for example, they can
Okay.
integrate with your proprietary systems, with the ERP systems that we use. I'll give you an example. So for example, there is a company that engages social media influencers for affiliate marketing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
or they pay those influencers for marketing their products. Imagine
Yeah.
that big brand is running campaigns, um, and has engaged a lot of these influencers. Now,
Yeah.
how do you check how each influencer, like how does that investment translates into the ROI, and how much each influencer is impacting the ROI or contributing to the ROI? So you can have
Yeah.
different AI agents. So for example, one influencer has got a lot of followers on Facebook, another one has got a lot of
Mm.
followers on TikTok and Instagram. So you can have
Yeah.
specialized agents for each platform. So, for example, that
Um,
AI agent will go visit the profile of their influencer, scrap it for their
mm,
last few posts, and using large language models who are good at understanding videos and images and all that, you can derive
mm,
that they've shared about your brand, and then use a large
okay.
language model to actually summarize what exactly they spoke about, how many times they mentioned your product, how many likes they
Mm,
got, what was the engagement on their post, and then you can generate a beautiful report and do your analysis to exactly know how each influencer influence your ROI as well. And like,
it's
think
very
of these.
thorough.
Yeah, so you have like these social media platforms. Your
Hmm.
agents basically are keeping an eye on how your influencers are, pitching or marketing your products. And then you have, large language models in the mix to actually summarize all the information that you have processed through specialized models, and
Mm,
generate reports that are like helpful. And then based on that, you can make decisions like which influencers are really good at marketing your products. Is
mm.
this a good strategy? Is this not a good strategy? And yeah, endless possibilities there.
Yeah. So what I'm basically gathering from all of this is that with this kind of technology and this capability, businesses can essentially really grow in real time. They would not have to wait for historical data to accumulate at one point. They would not really have to go back and sift through, volumes and volumes of information. You have now the structure and these capabilities that are enabling you to make these decisions in real time and really become more formidable in what you're able to present in customer experience and all of these different aspects as well. So that's
Absolutely.
really exciting. And I feel like with agentic AI as a possibility now, businesses
Yeah,
can really capitalize on how much they can grow and across how many, branches of what
yeah,
progress they can make. So
yeah.
this is an exciting time for me to bring in your capabilities and kind of
Hmm.
explore, what we've been able to do within the premise of a proprietary agentic AI framework, which is Lens, right? And it is your brainchild. You've spent a lot of time establishing different capabilities that we can offer to businesses. So, what can you tell us about what you've been able to accomplish with this framework, particularly?
Yeah. Um, so like there are a lot of agentic AI frameworks available out there, both open source as well as SaaS-based frameworks.
Yeah,
Ours is basically, a mixture of, different open source frameworks that we can use and deploy on site for our customers. So we are not locking in our customers to use our own platform. Instead, we can deploy our framework for our customers on their premise to
yeah,
basically do away with the data security concerns, as well as um, everything like that involves those their AI agents, because it processes their own business data and their customers' data. So ours is an on-prem solution that we deploy for our customers.
yeah,
It's like completely open source. We use a mixture of open source frameworks, and with
yeah,
that we make sure that everything that we do with our framework is completely transparent, and our customers has the visibility into how those agents perform,
yeah,
and they have all the guardrails and to make sure that their data is not leaving their premise, along with
yeah,
all the important goodies that are required. For example, making sure that their IP always belongs to them. We provide all the
yeah.
necessary updates to our framework, and we do it in a very agile manner.
Yeah. And what does it do for the enterprise design in itself? So, like, how does leadership in terms of incorporating AI benefit from it? What are the ways that businesses can really, enhance their teams, their functionalities? And then what is it that we can do to streamline the workflows, right? You said to make them more dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. So, a few of our customers have already taken our platform for a spin to
Hmm.
create, RFP tools. They do a lot of RFPs, and making sure that the analysts who are basically uh, writing proposals for those RFPs,
Yeah,
those proposals are compliant to the guidelines of our customers, um, and as well as they've used our platform for building customer support agents, for
yeah,
building knowledge based agents as well, to make sure that everybody in the org has access to the information they need. So um, I think it has created a lot of value for our customers, in a sense that they do
hmm,
not need weeks and months to build a system, but instead, in a
yeah.
matter of days, they can have their own AI agents, starting from just
Hmm.
instead of an idea to actually using the agent.
Right. And one thing that I'm kind of curious about, because the possibilities are endless, right? So,
Yeah.
how do you determine which use case requires an agentic AI solution the most? So, what would be the very simple process of determining that this function within my business or in my enterprise requires an AI solution? So, how would you evaluate a use case?
It's a very good question. I mean, AI agents is a strong contender for repetitive work.
Right.
So, for example, if you do a lot of hiring or recruitment, or if you do a lot of
Hmm.
proposals, or you generate a lot of invoices, or you have to analyze a lot of invoices, for example. Uh, it has a lot of utility in the medical imaging space, in
Right.
medical services space. So any repetitive work that any enterprise or any organization does, um,
Yeah.
AI agent can help a lot in basically saving a lot of time, as well as saving a lot of labor.
Hmm. So if we look at, let's say, a particular situation within the logistics and transportation vertical, right? It is,
Yeah.
of course, an industry or a business which has a lot of repetitive processes. within
yeah,
packaging or just managing inventory, all of that, and also then transporting it, vehicle costs, all the different aspects of that. So if you were to break down this particular use case, um, how would an agentic structure or a capability help you uh, get more beneficial results in logistics and transportation?
yeah. So in Saudi Arabia, we are currently demoing one of the use case in conjunction with another partner solution that we call DriveSense. Um,
Right.
so DriveSense is basically a technology that ensures that drivers who are part of, like, the fleet operation,
Hmm.
they remain compliant with the organization guidelines as well as the local laws. So, for example,
Yeah.
ensuring that they are not distracted while driving
Mm.
their vehicle, they're not using their phone, um, making sure that they're alerted in case they feel sleepy, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And we process their data on the edge in real time, and then for the reporting purposes, we have a cron job that gathers all the data from these edge devices at a fixed interval and processes it for reporting. So we have,
Okay.
real-time alerts and reporting that are required to make sure if there are, like, in case there are safety concerns or anything. But then we
Hmm.
use, AI agents, which processes different pieces of that information that we gather on the edge, um, for reporting purposes, and for making sure that everything, or like making sure that our whole operation is compliant with the organization's set forth regulations as well as with local regulations. Um,
Right.
it has a lot of benefits. So, for example, it helps you with remaining compliant with the local governance and
Hmm.
regulations, but as well
Yeah.
as it also ensures that your fleet as well as everybody else is on the road is safe.
Mm.
Your goods, reaches on time when expected to your end customers, as well as it helps with the observability of how your overall fleet is performing. So you can do a lot of analysis on what to optimize, when to optimize, and how to optimize.
Yeah. It basically, I think, gives you a very thorough roadmap of how to run your business efficiently as
Exactly.
well.
Yeah.
And so, if we were to explore the aspect of, let's say, efficiency and cost effectiveness, so
Yeah.
maybe like across retail or e-commerce, and you have obviously explained it in detail before as well, how
Yeah.
can an agentic AI solution, replicated or duplicated for a retail and e-commerce use case, how could you possibly save costs within that premise?
Yeah. So I mean, especially for retail, an AI an AI-based system can perform those tasks very smartly than a human agent, in a
Yeah,
sense that
true.
those agents have access to their order history, their gender, their preferences, what kind of products they previously ordered. So
Yeah,
much about them, and an AI agent can mix all their information so beautifully
yeah,
that they can tackle their needs very brilliantly.
yeah.
As well as, so a customer services agent job is also to cross sell and upsell as well. So in case they receive a
Mm,
customer inquiry, they're also expected to make sure that they're cross selling or upselling other products to them, and introducing
yeah,
the exciting offers to them. And an AI agent does not have to go through a fixed script, but can
mm,
squeeze in all those pieces, it times in the conversation when it is most convenient.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. So, and with the customers, I think it can interact at a mature level where you really feel like the brand is, reaching out to you and understanding your needs as well. So
Yeah.
that is definitely one of the things that I feel like we need to explore more in, why agentic AI can be such an impressive and very prolific aspect to invest in. So if we think about, what you've created with Lens and everything that it can do for different enterprises, different organizations, what would be the way to establish that, and what steps do you think, along with the steps that are present here on the screen, could you walk us through this? And can we know how do you systematically integrate autonomous AI agents into your business?
So the most important piece is like the data that
Yeah.
that you have to build an agent on top of it. So so for example, if this is for if you're building a ticketing, an AI agent for ticketing, for example,
Hmm.
for making reservations for an airline, for example, or finding the best airline tickets available out there
Yeah.
based on any criteria that you may set forth. The most important piece is like how would that AI agent make those decisions? Like what kind of data you
Mm,
have, or like what's the form of the data, and like what in what shape the data exists, and
yeah.
that and so that's something that's very important for like
Hmm.
that's the most important piece of evaluation. But like as I see on our screen for step one, the strategic assessment is also very important to make sure that we have valid
Yeah.
business case for AI
Right.
agent, like how this AI agent like come into play in
Mm,
their business case. So once we have our business case established, we have
mm,
identified our data. So, for example, the data exists in form of APIs. Do we have spreadsheets,
mm,
documents? Do we have a database? How
yeah.
do we enable our AI agent um, to to enable that interaction in like? But once we have that, it's pretty easy. We take care of most of the things. We take care of the solution design. We take care of like picking up the right framework, picking up the right large
Yeah.
language models, whether we want to go with the proprietary models or we want to deploy our own open source model to make sure that
Mm,
we do away with the data security issues. And
yeah.
then it's a standard process. We make sure that we always have uh, the observability in mind as to why our agents, why an agent made a decision. Like we want to have the observability of the rationale as well, so that we can
Yeah.
study it and improve upon it in case we need improvements. It's a pretty like easy process. It does not take for a complex system. It does not even take more than like a couple of weeks to actually develop and deploy an agent and like bring it into play.
That's very impressive. And I feel like if that is the speed with which you can deploy something and develop it and put it into full functionality, more enterprises should be jumping on the agentic AI advantage, right? To really capitalize on what it can do for your business. So,
Exactly.
in terms of when you are establishing an agentic AI solution for yourself or for your business, what would you say, or what would be your advice to enterprises in terms of the things they should really keep in mind when they go in wanting to establish an agentic AI solution for themselves?
I think it all comes down to the business case. If they have,
Mm,
and every enterprise and like every organization has a lot of valid business cases for deploying,
mm,
AI agents. But if we have, the business case figured out, I think the adaptation becomes much easier.
mm,
Um, so, for example, a human agent supported by an AI agent, there's a lot
yeah.
of upside to it. So, for example, when a human agent, for example, if talking about customer support, if a human agent is answering a customer's call, An AI agent can very quickly bring up the right information that will help the human agent to answer a customer's query.
True. Yes.
So they can work, both, together to better help our customers. So once we have the business case figured out, the adaptations become, much easier. Um,
Hmm.
there's a lot of upside to it.
Yeah. And how important do you think it is for to build organization-wide AI literacy? How much should your employees within the enterprise be cognizant of how to use AI and what to do with it?
This is a great question. Is CodeNinja, since we are primarily a software development company,
Yeah.
we use a lot of AI tools to increase our developers' productivities. For example, we use Cursor, we use GitHub Copilot. These are all
Hmm.
AI based IDEs that helps developers write better code, saves them a
Yeah.
lot of time, so that they can think about strategic things rather than tactical repetitive work.
Hmm.
It's a great use case for us. It has only improved their productivity and output,
Yeah.
and they have, like, everybody has become a better engineer with the help of these
Hmm.
agents. And it depends on the use case, and on the business cases. But I think if we can communicate it better to everyone in the org, like whoever is going to be using them, I think the journey
Yeah.
becomes much easier. Um,
Yeah.
it all comes down to communication and the understanding of the value proposition that comes with these AI agents.
Naturally, absolutely. So, without really getting into the details of what we can possibly accomplish with agentic AI, where do you see this technology growing in the next 5 years, let's say? What is your expectation of what we can really harness from AI agents?
Yeah. So right now, these large language models are primarily, text generation models, or like
Yeah,
they also generate videos and photos as well. But it is actually going to transition away from there, to become more specialized agents for use cases.
yeah,
The fine tuning and post training of these models is going to become a lot more cheaper and easier.
mm,
um, and we'll be seeing a lot of open source foundational models. So, for example, recently we had DeepSeek R1, and OpenAI announcing their O3 model, which are, like, really
yeah,
great reasoning, and they also, like, give you the visibility of how these large language models reasoned to arrive at the response that they generated. Um,
yeah.
and we'll see a lot of such advancements down the line. We'll be seeing a lot of specialized models very soon.
Right. So I think it's safe to say that this technology is not slowing down anytime soon, and there's a lot that we can expect from it in the future as well. So before we kind of wrap this up, Adil, I would really like to thank you for your time and the insights that you've given us. And is it safe to say that if we were to kind of encapsulate everything that we've learned today, agentic AI and its prolific use could possibly propel us into a place where businesses are more democratized, that they are open to open innovation, inviting everybody in as an innovator to realize their ideas and really make it through, give them a shape and a form, and really get them to market as soon as possible. So the way that I see it, agentic AI is really pulling the potential for more people to come into the market and for us to really explore the limitations of what we can do with this technology, how fast enterprises can grow. So this has been a very educative process for me as well, and I really appreciate all the time that you've taken up to technically explain it, to just educate everybody here about the possibilities of agentic AI. So your wisdom is greatly appreciated. Thank you for joining us. And for
Thank
everybody who's watching and wants to know more, we will, of course, return with more insights on this, and hopefully, Adil will be joining us in the future as well. But if you have any more questions or insights to explore around Agentic AI, we have given you a QR code to explore our white paper on Agentic AI, which is called Need of the Hour: The Rise of Agentic AI for Enterprises. So, any information that you would like to know, we have discovered and explored different possibilities of how enterprises can grow with Agentic AI solutions, what it really means to have an Agentic AI structure and architecture within your enterprise, and also the possibility of hybrid intelligence. I just want to put this out there, and you can really give your closing remarks on this as well. So we are envisioning a future where we can really think about strategic supremacy, how humans can take or reclaim that power of making decisions for the betterment of your business, while agentic solutions and all of these structures can help you with operational efficiency and everything like that. So do take a look at the white paper and explore more insights on it. The last thing I would want to bring back to you, Adil, is in our hope for a better, enterprise future, a more prolific future. Do you think that agentic AI could really help us get there faster than what we could have imagined, maybe let's say 10 years ago?
Absolutely, the word is an enterprise is a lot more faster now than they were
Yeah.
like 2 years back. So the speed is gonna be much faster. Will be the enterprise is gonna improve a lot on how they deliver their services,
Yeah.
and I think the world is gonna be a much better place as we move forward.
That's the hope. And with that, we leave you with this last thing to think about and this last point put together by Adil. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this exciting episode. And we will be back with more updates on everything that the tech world is continuously talking about, with more innovation coming our way. So thank you again, and hope to see you in the next episode.
Yeah, me too.